Yeah, I mean, the reaction of the audience is important. We don't love playing to places where people are sitting down. It feels hard to play some of the fast, more metal edge songs to a seated audience. It feels really hard. It feels like an audition. You know, it's easier to play the slower, more atmospheric songs to a seated audience. I mean, it's hard to generalize and say, oh, the American audiences are like this, and you know, the Dutch audience is like this, and the German audience is like this. It's usually more town to town. You know, you can play in San Francisco one night and the audiences are crazy, and then you can go a few hours up the road to Los Angeles and the audience is in a completely different mood, you know. Even within England, you know, we could play Leeds one night and the audience are going crazy and we think, wow, this is fantastic, and go to somewhere else the next night and they seem very subdued and we don't know why. I've never understood the sort of differences even from town to town, let alone country to country. I mean, the mood you're in that night is important. You know, some nights we're in different moods, and I feel like creating different atmospheres on the drums. There's certain parts in certain songs where we have it's a kind of bit more open, where anything can happen, and it makes each concert special and unique. I always try and find something that, you know, keeps my interest in the songs. I do improvise a little bit, which is probably from my jazz background. You know, it's not an improvisational band, but I make small improvisations all the time, you know, because I'm always searching for a different solution. Sometimes the improvisations are so subtle, I'm the only one who knows that it is actually different from the previous night. You know, I like to respect the song, I like to play the parts of the song, but I can't play exactly, note for note, every fill, everything exactly the same as the record. It just drives me crazy to do that. I always, of course, I had vinyl records when I was young, and then I bought cassettes, and then I bought CDs, and now I'm downloading from iTunes onto my iPod. It's just a modern way to consume music. I never really fetished the packaging. It's nice to have a big 12-inch thing and a booklet and some things to read, but it wasn't the thing I loved the most. The thing I loved the most was the actual music. I don't really buy box sets, special edition, you know, 150-page reissue things. That doesn't do it for me. I'm not really that interested. I was always interested just in the music for the music, whether it was on cassette or whether it was on, you know, 24-bit CD. If I could enjoy the performance, that was the thing that I got the kick out of. So having it on an iPod, you know, having 500 albums on an iPod and having the accessibility is fantastic, because I used to go on tour with boxes and boxes of cassettes and a Walkman, you know, and it's a pain because you always crave something that you didn't bring with you. Now I have everything with me on my iPod, and it's, you know, whatever I'm in the mood for, I've pretty much got it. I've been going back and making, from vinyl, making CDs. You know, I have a machine to make CDs, and then I put them in iTunes, and then I put them on my iPod, because it's so hard to find some of the 70s vinyl. Hasn't been released on CD. Vinyl that I really enjoyed in that golden period, you know, when you're 15 to 20, where music just means, you know, so much to you. It's life-changing period in your life, and I still crave to listen to the music that I listened to when I was 15 to 20, and really a lot of it was jazz music, and I still listen to it now on my iPod. You know, I can still hear the vinyl scratches. As a child, me and my brothers, we all tried to play the trumpet, but it was way too hard. I was very coordinated as a kid. I was a very good dancer, and I was a very good football player. I just had natural coordination, and my father played a little bit of drums too, and it was just a natural thing to do. I could play the drums not easily, but you know, I had an aptitude for it because I was coordinated, and really I liked music, and it felt like an instrument I could express myself on. So in my early years, I played with my dad in his jazz group. I played some sessions at the BBC. You know, I came up through the music business in quite an old-fashioned way. I learnt to read, play with a conductor, play in an orchestra, you know, go on gigs, playing in, say, like theatres in London with a conductor in a pit with 40 musicians, or play in, you know, dance bands, really like an old-fashioned way of going through the business, playing all kinds of music in all kinds of situations. And as my career progressed, I got to play with some, you know, some more known artists like Iggy Pop. And then I went through a series of kind of funk gigs, like with Lisa Stansfield, with Lewis Taylor, with Incognito, with Artful Dodger, playing more R&B kind of music. I mean, I just followed a path that, you know, I felt comfortable doing. I always liked more complex music. I always liked and enjoyed odd time signatures and more, you know, more adventurous arrangements. So I didn't ever feel a problem to play quite complicated music, or what appears to be quite complicated music. It felt very natural to me. I played in a band called Renaissance in the early 80s, which is an old prog band. And at various times with friends, you know, I'd play Frank Zappa songs and, you know, try out more adventurous things. But I always liked playing groove music as well. So it's been an eclectic mix of playing jazz, playing groove music, and being involved in more complex things, which eventually led to King Crimson, because, you know, we got to know Robert Fripp quite well when he was supporting Porcupine Tree 4 years ago. And then he just called me up one day and said, I'd like you to join King Crimson with Pat Massalotto as two drummers.
Two drummers.
Yeah. And last year we rehearsed for about 4 weeks, and we made, I think we only made 11 concerts. We actually rehearsed a lot more than we played. It's the opposite of Porcupine Tree. And that was good. It was a really good challenge. Very, very hard music, but great fun. It's hard because music is such a sort of life-consuming thing. You know, I'm always involved in something. My girlfriend always says, okay, so now you have like a month free. You know, we have a month off in a tour, and I end up working the whole month at home in my studio. And that's, that's meant to be my month off. I mean, I ride a bike. I really like to ride. I've been out today. I bring my bike on tour, and I like the freedom of just pedaling off into the distance. It's kind of liberating. You know, it's nice to get away from the venue, from the bus, from all the same guys. I mean, there's, I don't know, 12, 13 guys we're touring. We see each other all day and all night. You know, so it's nice to just go off on your own and discover some things and go cycling.